and gentlemen, a picture of valor speaks louder than 1,000 words of cynicism. Let me remind you of the visuals Times Now aired in June 2020, which showed the Indian Army warning and then pushing back Chinese troops at the Galwan border. These visuals are testimony that Mazboot Bharat would never have cowered down. While our braves fiercely guarded our borders, more diplomacy has projected India as an iron-fisted global power today. The message of Prime Minister Modi at BRICS was loud and clear. We will not concede an inch. Today, Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping sat face-to-face for the first time in 5 years. Also the first since the border standoff in 2020. Prime Minister Modi made it clear that peace and stability at the borders was of paramount importance after the pushback from India. Today, China was forced to fall in line, retreating to the pre-Galwan positions at the line of actual control. Of course, this breakthrough came after years of India walking the diplomatic tightrope since the Galwan clashes. There were 2 ministerial meetings between the 2 external affairs ministers, 31 diplomatic meetings and 21 corps commander talks as well. Before the bilaterals at BRICS today in Kazan, Prime Minister Modi met President Xi Jinping in Bali in November 22 at the G20 summit. Also, the two briefly met in August 23 in Johannesburg at the BRICS summit. In fact, today BJP put out a picture from 2013 BRICS summit, where the then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh can be seen standing at the edge of the global leaders' photo op. On the other hand, this year at the BRICS, India's Prime Minister held center stage. BJP's Amit Malviya said leadership matters. Watch how today Prime Minister Modi shackled expansionist China and forced them to speak the language of mutual trust, mutual respect and mutual sensitivity as the roadmap for the future.
हमारा मानना है कि भारत और चीन के संबंधों का महत्व केवल हमारे लोगों के लिए ही नहीं, लेकिन वैश्विक शांति, स्थिरता और प्रगति के लिए भी हमारे संबंध बहुत अहम है। एक्सेलेंसी, सीमा पार पिछले 4 वर्षों में उत्पन्न हुए मुद्दों पर बनी सहमति का हम स्वागत करते हैं। म्यूचुअल ट्रस्ट, म्यूचुअल रिस्पेक्ट और म्यूचुअल सेंसिटिविटी हमारे संबंधों का आधार बने रहना चाहिए।
It's important for both sides to have more communication and cooperation, properly handle our differences and disagreements, and to facilitate each other's pursuit of development aspirations.
While China was forced to agree to a disengagement pact at a global platform, the Congress back home still had doubts and the pushback was questioned. In a filmy attack, Congress MP and General Secretary Jairam Ramesh accused the Modi Sarkar of DDLJ, trying to deny, distract, lie and justify. Others too jumped in to call this breakthrough a drama, not diplomacy. Watch this.
प्रधानमंत्री जब जा रहे हैं तो भारत के हितों का ज्यादा ध्यान रखें, फोटो फ्रेम का कम।
PM Modi met 18 times with Xi Jinping and claimed that he was his friend. And PM Modi does more drama than diplomacy.
But has China backstabbed India repeatedly in the past? Has Congress concessions cost India? Here are some facts in the history between India and China. In 1950, Prime Minister Nehru actively batted for a UN Security Council seat for China. But till date, India seeks a permanent membership for itself. In 1954 Panchsheel Treaty, India formally called Tibet as a region of China, and 3 months later, China violated the Ladakh border. While Nehru believed in Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai, China wrested 20% of the disputed land of Aksai Chin through the 1950s. In 1996, the Janata Dal government, with outside support from the Congress party, signed a pact not to carry arms near the LAC, which later led to 20 of our braves being clubbed to death by China at Galwan. Several other reports have come in that under UPA regime, China encroached upon several areas, even setting up 13 cement huts at Demchok in 2012. But the days of conceding to China seem to have come to an end. This is Naya Bharat, is the statement the BJP is making today. So, ladies and gentlemen, the legitimate question that we are asking on the news hour tonight: Modi diplomacy making Bharat mazboot? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Member of Parliament and National Spokesperson of the BJP, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow at the IPCS, Major Gaurav Arya, who is the Editor-in-Chief of Chanakya. Also joining me this evening, Vivek Srivastava, Political Analyst, Anurag Bhadoria, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. But my first question goes to Dr. Sanjay Jha, Suspended Congress Leader, Author, Political Analyst. And I want to ask you, Sanjay Jha, as a keen observer of international affairs, strategic affairs, I want to ask you, in times of war, India has emerged as a global power, whether it is conversations with Russia and Ukraine at the same time, whether it is talking to Palestine and Israel at the same time, whether it is talking with President Biden or the Chinese President Xi Jinping. There has been a balance and there has been a growing stature that has been observed, even though the Congress party has been churlish about admitting it. The pictures that were shown up today by the BJP's IT cell clearly shows the position that India had in those group photo ops, and pictures speak 1,000 words, as they say. India from the edge is now center stage. And today, without a war, we've got China to come back to the pre-Galwan position. Do you think the DDLJ barb was uncalled for, and today is a day to celebrate actually the diplomacy and the breakthrough that India has achieved?
Good evening, Navika. I was hoping for a more mature bipartisan conversation on this topic, is foreign policy. And as everybody on your panel will probably agree with me, at least on this, that international relations and foreign policy are created over decades, and successive governments have a consistent policy. They may have some divergence, but ideologically and practically, they all work within a defined bandwidth. It's unfortunate that the BJP, of course, lowers the standards of our political and public discourse. So let me dive deep and talk to BJP in their language. That is equally important in a political debate. May I remind the viewers, because Mr. Trivedi will 100% respond to me after I'm done, but this is a political party where the Prime Minister chose his muscular imagery over national priorities. When he gave a clean chit to China after the horrific attack on our soldiers in Galwan. Literally 96 hours later, Mr. Modi went public and he said no Chinese entered our territory, literally giving the Chinese a carte blanche, saying you did nothing. Nobody from the Chinese killed Indians. Frankly speaking, Navika, in any democracy, Mr. Modi would have been toast thereafter politically as far as his career was concerned. In India, of course, he had many advantages that saved his day. The second point, at this point of time, Navika, at this point of time, as you and I talk, and there are many eminent panelists, we are facing probably our biggest international embarrassment in foreign policy, where the Biden administration is literally hinted that Mr. Modi's government has behaved like a rogue state, where the Biden administration has backed the allegations that Canada has made against India. We can keep debating it here like, people who are very patriotic and nationalistic. The truth is, Mr. Modi's government has compromised India's stature by not being able to defend itself properly abroad. And we'll have to wait and watch how it plays out. That as we talk, India's neighborhood policy is in a mess. And look at whether it's Maldives, whether it's Sri Lanka, we look at Nepal, obviously Bangladesh. I mean, India is surrounded by a foreign policy basket case of how not to do foreign policy. So, I have no problem with Mr. Modi doing photo ops. I think as a leader, he has a right to get photo ops with anybody he likes. The bottom line is, does it help India? Will it help India? And I just want to bring one point on this debate, is what I think General Dwivedi said. I think he's made a very pertinent point when he said, we need to create a trust between the two countries, restore trust, and then we can look at de-escalation and disengagement and so on and so forth. The reason why I say so is because Vikram Misri, who's a foreign secretary, has been my batchmate once upon a time. And I have the highest regards from him because we studied together. And I can tell you that, at this point of time in government, there are eminent people. There are great bureaucrats and foreign policy analysts. Politicians should know where to draw the line. If you're going to hijack a conversation on a border dispute or an LAC, please do not reduce it into this tutu meme conversation, BJP. You do not do good to the country. You insult the viewers. And I think India deserves much better.
And what Jairam Ramesh said in his statement, DDLJ, that behoves the Congress party, the grand old party of India, that behoves the standard of discourse in this country, and the party that actually was meeting China when, there was a standoff in Doklam. Is that the party that should be giving others lessons on how to behave? And could the Congress's questions have waited till the Prime Minister returned home for seeking details, which is your right, every citizen's right to know? But to wait till the Prime Minister is back from foreign shores to answer those questions? Or are these things inane, where the Congress party only talks about teaching philosophy to the BJP, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, while it itself flouts every rule in the book, including with the Rahul Gandhi saying, unke soldiers hamare soldiers ko peet rahe the?
Mr. Sanjay Jha has jumped from China to America, then to Maldives, and to here and there, but you have given a reference of Rahul Gandhi, so I would like to remind, in Galwan, 20 of our soldiers got martyred in a hand-to-hand fight. Not even a single bullet was fired. And to the wisdom of those who are sitting against me in this panel, they believe the Chinese data that not even a single was injured from the Chinese side. And then they said कि हमारे लोगों को मार रहे थे. इनकी बुद्धि कितनी मति मारी हुई है ये समझ में आता है. 20 लोग हाथ की लड़ाई में, डंडे और कटीले तारों से लड़ाई में हमारे शहीद हो गए और उनके किसी को खरोंची नहीं आई. China has not issued even a single name in which they were even injured. As per the international assessment, there are 55 to 60 soldiers of China died. But they believe in their statistics. Because Rahul Gandhi believes in the Chinese statistics that there is no unemployment. The fact of the matter is, Sanjay Jha is a well-read person, so he must be knowing from January 23 to July 24, the rate of unemployment in China became 24%. From August 23 to January 24, China has not published any data of unemployment. Then they changed the basis. Then again from January 24 to July 24, it becomes 17%. But there is nothing, no unemployment. And then say that the China is very well ahead of us, the ranking in media. Sanjay Jha, you might be knowing the name of Mr. Li Shangfu. He was the defense minister of China and he disappeared. There is no murmuring in media, no question. But it is the freedom of media is above us in China. And you know the meaning, you have heard the name of Mr. Qin Gang. He was the foreign minister of China. He disappeared. There is no news in Chinese media. Still they are above it. then another Mr. Lu Yong Chow. He is an elite commander of rocket force, practically number 2. He also disappeared. There is no news. In the last plenary, the only one footage is available in which Hu Jintao is being literally taken out of the meeting. Other than forget about a briefing, not even a single photo available. Still, they are having much more freedom. But coming to the today's topic, forget about these allegations, because this is enough for any wisdomful Indian to understand that how they believe maybe the appeasement of the agreement which they are having with China, वो करार का इकरार है या करार का प्यार है अलग बात है. But coming to today, it is having a very global impression today when the China has come for the first time in the recent history. China has backtracked this claim. If they are agreeing that they are coming to pre-2020 situation, it means they are forfeiting their claim, which has never happened, I think, after Vietnam. But one more thing you would like to say. If you look at the entire Eastern Asia, from South Korea to Japan to Vietnam to Philippines to Australia to Cambodia, it is only India which can work as a sheet anchor. And second thing, Prime Minister Modi has gone to Russia 2 times. Definitely, Russia is having a very good relations with India. And if you look at the diplomatic isolation of China, there are only 2 countries who are standing with China at any cost, North Korea and Pakistan. Other than this, the only major country standing with them is Russia. And Russia is having equally good relations with India. So even if it has been a role of Russia, so I think Prime Minister Modi has very dexterously used the diplomacy. Iran situation, I am talking about the level of Russia. Then the Turkey you can say. But sir, what is the situation of Iran?
So now the list is increasing.
Sanction. वो लोग किसको क्या मदद कर सकते हैं? But I am talking about Russia. And I think there is only one leader in the entire world today. Within 1 month, you have seen that Mr. Modi was giving hug to Putin and also to Zelensky, which none of the head of the state can have. So definitely we have reached way ahead, Sanjay Jhaji, from non-aligned to all-aligned. और जो अभी आप बता रही थी, एक मैं फैक्ट बता दूं, इनके जमाने में क्या होता था. Jawaharlal Nehru on 21st of June 1952, when the Chinese forces have already entered into Tibet, has provided 3.5 lakh tons of rice to feed the Chinese army, and it is mentioned in the press conference of Jawaharlal Nehru, 21st of June 1952, Series 2, Volume 18. और पेज नंबर कहिएगा तो पेज नंबर भी बता दूंगा. और ये वो समय था जब वो तिब्बत में अत्याचार कर रहे थे. और जानते क्या, चाइनीज आर्मी भूखों मर जाती उस जमाने में, क्योंकि उनका नियरेस्ट शहर था चांगडू, जो 2600 किलोमीटर दूर था, और हमारा तावांग 200 किलोमीटर था. तो फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री टू प्रेजेंट, I think the myopic view of, rather than sadistic view of Congress party, and which is a pathetic view of Congress party in the foreign policy, they are not able to see the actual truth that in which way India has got positioned under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Absolutely. Are you in denial, Vivek Srivastava? The question tonight is that India can balance Iran and Israel at the same time, Ukraine and Russia at the same time. When President Putin says that we don't even need a translator, it shows the position that India has. When Xi Jinping sits across the table and goes to a pre-Galwan position in an agreement with India, it does say that without war, India can dictate terms, can find breakthroughs. I want to ask you, Vivek Srivastava, will we make fun of this as well, and will we take political pot shots on this as well?
No, absolutely not. I would say Hindi Chini bhai bhai, and if India and China are having a friendship, तो इस दोस्ती को लाल सलाम हम तो कहेंगे. और लेकिन the point is, Sudhanshu Trivedi is talking of a different thing, whereas the foreign minister and the prime minister is doing something altogether different. You first need to decide, do you like China or you don't like China? You think it's a good country or it's not a good country? You think they are having a human rights record or they are not having a human rights record? So they are confused. The problem is, after suffering negation at the hands of Canada and strictly at the hands of the United States of America and being rejected by the Europeans, now the Honorable Prime Minister has no way but to do what we had been requesting him for the last 10 years to do, and that is to join the Russian, Chinese, North Korean,
Oh
Iran,
my God,
and the other axis.
this is an entirely new interpretation of what has happened. आपको अमेरिका ने डरा दिया, आपको रशिया ने डरा दिया, आपको यूरोप ने डरा दिया, कनाडा ने डरा दिया, इसीलिए आप चाइना की गोद में चले गए. सुधांशु त्रिवेदी, प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड.
Not even 30 seconds, not even 10 seconds to me. वो 2.5 मिनट बोल रहे हैं, यहाँ 10 सेकंड नहीं दिया आपने मुझे.
भाई आपकी
ये तो अनफेयर बात है.
पार्लियामेंट में
नहीं, पार्लियामेंट में 10 सीटें, उसका मतलब क्या? मत बुलाइए फिर अगर आपको बुलवाना नहीं है तो. अगर अपोजिशन मैटर ही नहीं करता है, आपको सिर्फ रूलिंग प्रवक्ता का को बुलवाना है यहाँ 5-5 मिनट, तो फिर आप उन्हीं को बुलवाइए.
अरे भैया,
I have not even spoken.
You have spoken. You have given the biggest. You have given the biggest interpretation that I didn't think was humanly possible. Don't you want a response from the government, or do you know everything? Do you know everything about this agreement? Don't you want to hear it from the government? Hold on, Vivek Srivastava.
नहीं, आप सुनिए ना. आपके चैनल पर वो रिटायर्ड फौजियों की फौज जो बैठा करती थी, और जब मैं कहता था इंडिया शुड टॉक टू चाइना एंड वी मस्ट गो एंड बी फ्रेंड्स विद देम, तो कहा जाता था ये सारे कम्युनिस्ट चाइनीज एजेंट हैं, बैठे हैं यहाँ मेजर, इनसे पूछिए ना आप कहां है वो फौज, उन सारे फौजी जनरल्स की, जब मोदी साहब वही कर रहे हैं जो हम 10 साल से रिक्वेस्ट कर रहे थे कि आपको अपने पड़ोसियों से दोस्ती करनी पड़ेगी. यू नीड टू हैव एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग.
पड़ोसी तो आप भी हैं, पड़ोसी तो आप भी हैं, आप दोस्ती कर लीजिए ना बीजेपी से, पड़ोस में बैठते हैं पार्लियामेंट में. लेकिन गौरव आर्या, do you agree with this interpretation given by Vivek Srivastava here, who says because we are terrorized by Canada and US and Europe, we have no option but to go and talk to China and beg for this position? Do you agree with that?
I think Vivek has got it wrong, and I would like to explain. He's wrong politically and he's wrong geopolitically also. Now, what has happened here is there are 2-3 things. Of course, the Indian Army deployment along the line of actual control, that is one part of it. Not just the Army, also the Air Force and also the Navy at various places. The second thing is that these two conflicts, Navika, which are happening. So we're talking about Russia and Ukraine, and we're talking about Iran's proxies and Israel. Now, what is happening is this has unsettled the entire world. And after that, nobody's looking at China right now. When I say nobody, I mean the West. Every single national security doctrine of the Western countries, be it America, be it Canada, be it Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, even Australia for that matter, everybody says that China is threat number one. Every country in the West. Right? Now, what is happening is because of their preoccupation with the Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran nexus, they are unable to focus on China. It is also China which wants peace with India because they do not want a belligerent India on their doorstep when these wars stop. And both these wars in 2025, late 25, they will simmer down or they will stop. That is number one. Number two. Number three, I would like to point out for the attention of Mr. Vivek Srivastava is that saying that Canada से डर लग गया, क्या Canada है? Canada का
डर नहीं कहा
मैंने. सर एक मिनट, kindly.
नहीं सर, मैंने डर शब्द नहीं यूज किया है. मैंने कहा डिप्लोमेटिक फेलियर हो चुका है वहाँ. ये शब्द.
अच्छा सर एक मिनट. Kindly don't interrupt and I apologize to you if I've misquoted you, sir. That was not my intent. आपने ये बोला है कि मतलब कि diplomatic failure हुआ है. Whatever the case may be. What I want to say is that Justin Trudeau himself has said on record he has no case. He says I have no evidence. मैंने ऐसे ही बोल दिया. इंट आया था. CSIS ने इंटेलिजेंस दिया था. मैंने बोल दिया. मैंने मुंह खोल दिया. 20 MPs of his own Liberal Party want him to step down. 20 signatures are there and they are saying by next weekend they would have had 32 signatures. They need 50 actually. 32 signatures, which is more than a half mark. That is second thing. Thirdly, you see this entire thing about कि Canada is a lightweight in diplomacy. Yes, the
what
US,
about United States?
Yes, I'm coming to that, sir. I'm coming to that. Yes. So the United States, remember, in Canada, who mentioned it? It was the Prime Minister, the head of state of Canada. In the US, the president did not say anything. They're dealing with it at a ministerial level. And America is using this hook to pressurize. You think America cares two hoots about Gurpatran Singh Pannu if he comes under a bus and dies tomorrow?
No.
America doesn't care. What happens is... सर
नहीं तो इशू क्यों रेज करते हैं सर? सर मैं आपसे सवाल पूछता हूं सर. अजीत डोभाल कंफर्टेबली जा सकते हैं अमेरिका भी? एक सीधा सवाल है.
एक नहीं सर, मैं आप पहले 10 सवाल पूछे, मैं उनका जवाब दूं, फिर आप 11वां पूछेंगे गलत।
नहीं, मैंने तो एक ही चीज आपसे सवाल पूछा है। अजीत डोभाल साहब
मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे सर, आप एक भी मत पूछिए बीच में जब मैं बोल रहा हूं। जब आप बोलेंगे मैं चुप रहूंगा सर, मैं चुप रहूंगा। आप एक भी आप आधा भी मत पूछिए, मैं पहले आपके सवालों का जवाब दे दूं। नेक्स्ट टाइम जब मेरा टाइम आएगा तब मैं पूछूंगा। So I'll just end in 30 seconds. मैं सिर्फ ये कहना चाहता हूं कि all these relationships are being managed. There are various geopolitical factors, at play here. Like for example, when they use Pannu and they pressurize. Actually, the issue is not Pannu. Nobody cares about Pannu. Pannu की zero value है. The thing is that when India buys Russian oil and when India buys S-400 from Russia, इनको दिक्कत होती है. When India says we will not condemn Russia, इनको दिक्कत होती है. When India says we seek strategic autonomy, इनको दिक्कत होती है. And the Pannu case is a hook in all this. And finally, I would like to say, तो क्या हुआ अगर निज्जर को मार दिया? क्या हुआ? What is the big problem in killing somebody abroad? They sent 40,000 troops, Canadians. 40,000 बंदे अफगानिस्तान में भेजे हैं. Human rights violations के केस चल रहे हैं उनकी स्पेशल फोर्सेस पे. 3,000 बंदे मार दिए वहां पे कनाडा ने. कनाडा को क्या प्रॉब्लम थी 9/11 से? कनाडा पे अटैक हुआ था. They entered into Libya, they entered into Lebanon, they entered पूरे mid. I'm talking about Canada, not the United States of America.
Talk about the United States also, no?
Sir, US is the major crook. उसके बारे में क्या बोलना है?
तो अब हम देशद्रोही नहीं रहे ना सर. अगर अब हम चाइना से दोस्ती की बात करते हैं,
but then let's come back to today's topic, and let's come back to the question of whether or not it's a master stroke. And Abhijit Iyer Mitra, I want to ask you this. Questions are being raised by the Congress party on whether they can go towards the bottleneck situation, whether, we can go up to finger 8, all kinds of questions, and the DDLJ analogy has been used. I want to ask you, the Saboot gang wants Saboot of whether we are going back to the pre-Galwan, and if we are going back to the pre-Galwan stage, were Chinese inside our territory or not? All kinds of questions. Where do you stand on this?
So Navika, during this entire Saboot phase, I was the only one putting out satellite imagery of where the troops were, if you remember. All these people were putting out were hand-drawing paintings from LKG, UKG kids. Chinese troops are here, Chinese troops are there. I was actually putting out imagery. Let us be clear where the border is. As of 2008, which is the earliest publicly available satellite imagery we have. Now, I don't care if you call it finger 4 or finger 8. I call it finger 4. Some people call it finger 6. But basically it's Foxhole Point, which is the southernmost tip of the northern shore of Pangong Lake. That is where the Chinese built a road. We can see it as far back as 2008. It was built apparently sometime in 2005-06, that period. They built a road. They established control out there. They were coming there time and time again. Okay. If we are able to establish control up to that point, the ridge separating their side of Foxhole Point from our side of Foxhole Point, it is still a return not just to status quo 2014 or 2013, it is a return to status quo at least 2009. Second, we come to the exact point where the Galwan clashes happened. The satellite imagery is very clear that the Chinese were there up to 100 meters in their on the Y bend of that particular river. This is also exactly where Nirupama Menon Rao's geographical coordinates that she tweeted out, which was the Indian Border Commission constituted under Nehru, placed them exactly at that spot. Of course, they got one coordinate wrong, which means that they actually placed it west of Kabul, not in Galwan. But if you actually, that was the professionalism, in Nehru's time in the bureaucracy. But anyway, if we place it out there, the Chinese troops are exactly where they were, claimed by Nehru's own border commission in the 1960s. Okay. So on one area where the clashes happened, where the troops died, it is exactly where it is circa 1960. And as far as Pangong is concerned, it is exactly where it is circa 2009. Now, if there is some new claims being made out here, if there are some new claims being made out here of additional territorial capture, I don't know where that is. I would refer you to the Sham Saran report, the former Foreign Secretary of India, who talked about hundreds of square kilometers of land going under the Chinese during the Congress rule itself.
Nothing happened in the BJP rule.
He publicly had to then withdraw it when he was named, shamed, or whatever.
Exactly, and that statement was made by E. Ahmed. No, that statement was made by E. Ahmed on the floor of Parliament in 2012, and he said 38,000 square kilometers of Indian land had been taken over by the Chinese up until 2012. So that fact gets borne out. Abhijit.
Navika, can I quickly give you an answer?
Of course it does. Look, these people, notice, these are the same people saying, sabut dikhao, jab Balakot hua tha. Notice, everyone is giving some verbal this thing. Not one of them is willing to show us a map of where the Chinese positions are. I have been putting up those maps.
Opposition party meeting, you never call it all party meeting. आप बुलाते नहीं all party
I
meeting.
am not in the BJP. Navika, can you please stop him from interrupting me? This is just rude. Either I can talk or he can talk.
नहीं सर आप बता दीजिए ना सर
विवेक श्रीवास्तव आपको स्पेसिफिक्स चाहिए ही इज डिस्कसिंग स्पेसिफिक्स लिसन टू हिम एंड देन आई विल गिव यू टाइम टू काउंटर माय फ्रेंड आई विल गिव यू टाइम टू काउंटर अभिजीत कंप्लीट योर पॉइंट
can we mute him please? I can't hear myself think while he's talking.
Yeah all your falsehood going over here, the technical falsehood which you are talking
listen about, I'm not a paid Chinese agent like you और तेरे को भी चाइना पता नहीं 5 रुपए देता है हर मिनट के लिए तो तू ज्यादा बक मत.
Okay. Make your point, Abhijit.
Okay. Now, I wish these people actually came with satellite imagery and maps. There is a whole list of my tweets from 2020 where I've shown you where the satellite positions are in 2019, where they are in 2018, where they are in 2013, where they are in 2009. These guys come up with absolutely nothing. What is their source of intel? What is their source of basing their arguments? Bro, I told you so. मेरे पे विश्वास कीजिए. मेरे मम्मी ने बोला, मेरे नानी ने बोला, मेरे दादी ने बोला. I'm sorry, this is not proof. Satellite imagery is very cheap. It's $20 per image. Please buy it and get it. I can't believe China doesn't even pay them enough to spend $20 on basic satellite imagery.
So well, the point really is that if we go back to the position that it was, Anurag Bhadoria ji, भारत ने मेजर गेन किया है और भारत की तस्वीरें अगर आप देखें जो आज बीजेपी ने भी डाली हैं, पहले भारत कहां खड़ा होता था? एज ऑफ द ब्रिक्स समिट. आज कहां है? बीच सेंटर स्टेज में. और अगर कुछ अच्छा हुआ है भारत के लिए तो फिर विपक्ष के पेट में दर्द क्यों है? ये बात समझ से परे है.
भारत के लिए अच्छा हुआ तो अच्छी बात है, लेकिन पेट में दर्द विपक्ष के कहाँ है नाविका जी? आपके ही डिबेट में आप तो बीजेपी के पद चिन्हों पे चलने लगे, डिवाइड एंड रूल. आपने कहा अभी विवेक जी से आपके 10 लोकसभा सदस्य हैं. अरे भैया, हम इंडिया गठबंधन है, 234 हमारे हैं, उनके 240 हैं बीजेपी के, मात्र 6 ज्यादा है.
आपको ज्यादा
और आप कहते हो कि सुधांशु जी बोलेंगे तो फिर आप सुधांशु नहीं, मैंने आपसे क्या बोला? इंडिया गठबंधन 234 हैं. तो इसके मतलब ये होता है कि हमारे अंदर क्यों आप डिवाइड एंड रूल करवाना चाहते हैं? क्योंकि वो बीजेपी वाला कैरेक्टर आप अपने अंदर क्यों?
आपका डिवाइड एंड रूल झारखंड में खुद हो गया है, महाराष्ट्र में अपने आप हो रहा है, मुझे करवाने की जरूरत नहीं है.
आप झारखंड भाग गए. अरे हम तेरे अरे नहीं, सब जगह इंडिया गठबंधन एक है. इसीलिए कह रहा हूं ना कि आप तोड़ने की कोशिश क्यों कर रहे हो कि हम
मैं बिल्कुल कोशिश नहीं कर रही हूँ. एज अ साइन ऑफ गुडविल मैं आपको फेविकॉल का बड़ा डब्बा भेज दूंगी, आप इस्तेमाल करिए, जुड़े रहिए, मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. चाइना पर आ जाइए.
नाविका जी आप तो बहुत अच्छे, आ रहा हूं. नाविका जी आप बहुत अच्छे इंसान हैं, आप बीजेपी के पद चिन्हों पे मत जाइए. आपका वैसे इतना सम्मान है, उनका तो सम्मान है नहीं, वो लोग तो इसी पे जी रहे हैं. देखिए, सवाल चाइना के ऊपर में, देखिए हिंदुस्तान अभी हमारे त्रिवेदी जी ने शुरू की 1954 से लेके स्टार्ट किया उन्होंने. 1954 में भी हिंदुस्तान था, 1960 में भी हिंदुस्तान था, 70 में भी था, 80 में था, 90 में था, आज 2024 में भी हिंदुस्तान है. हिंदुस्तान आगे बढ़ रहा है जब से हिंदुस्तान आजाद हुआ है. अब उसी बीच में हमारे नेताजी भी डिफेंस मिनिस्टर बने. उन्होंने तो चाइना को 4 किलोमीटर तक अंदर धकेल दिया था. तो आप इस बात की क्यों नहीं तारीफ करते? क्योंकि उन्होंने तो देश का नाम रोशन किया था ना. कि चाइना को 4 किलोमीटर अंदर तक ढकेला था और कहा था कि देश का नंबर 1 दुश्मन कौन है? चाइना। तब आपने क्यों नहीं उनकी बात मानी? तब आप क्यों झूला झूल रहे थे उनके साथ, प्रेसिडेंट के साथ बैठ के? भाई देश के डिफेंस मिनिस्टर थे ना, वो इंडिया के डिफेंस मिनिस्टर थे, उत्तर प्रदेश के नहीं थे। अगर वो पार्लियामेंट में खड़े होकर कोई बात कह रहे थे अपने एक्सपीरियंस से कि चाइना हमारा नंबर 1 दुश्मन है, तो उसको बुलाना नहीं चाहिए था ना आपने। फिर बुलाया, फिर झूला झुलाया, बाद में हमारे 20 लोग शहीद हो गए, फिर उस पर फिर हम आप डिबेट करने बैठ गए। सवाल यह है कि हमारी आपकी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि देश का नाम अगर आगे बढ़ रहा है, ये बोल के कि नहीं देखिए 2014 में ऐसा था, 2024 में वैसा हो गया। हिंदुस्तान है, निरंतर आगे बढ़ता जा रहा है। जब से आजाद हुआ तब से देश आगे बढ़ता जा रहा है, लगातार बढ़ रहा है। सरकारें किसी की भी हो, हिंदुस्तान ने पूरे विश्व में नाम कमाया है, हमेशा कमाता आया है। लेकिन हम अपनी ये छोटी राजनीति के चक्कर में, भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपना नाम रोशन करने के चक्कर में, बीजेपी का नाम बढ़ाने के चक्कर में देश का नाम भूल जाती है। अगर कोई भी अगर सम्मान पाता है देश के बाहर जाके, तो हिंदुस्तान का सम्मान होता है। आप अपने ऊपर क्यों लेते हैं इस बात को? हमारी हिंदुस्तान की
बहुत सही कहा सुधांशु त्रिवेदी जी। जो भी अचीवमेंट्स हैं वो हिंदुस्तान की, जो भी फेलियर्स हैं वो मोदी के। ये मतलब लबो लबाब यही है अनुराग भदौरिया का। जवाब दे दीजिए।
अनुराग भदौरिया जी पता नहीं डिबेट में बैठे हुए एब्सेंट माइंड हो गए थे क्या? मैंने तो 2024 से शुरू किया था। अब इनको ध्यान नहीं आता है, फिर इनको सिर्फ 52 ही ध्यान है। मैंने सिर्फ ये बताया था चीन की सेना को चावल दिए थे, वो भूखों मर जाते, हम नहीं देते, तब की बात है। अब आज का आपको बताता हूं। अभी जब आर्टिकल 370 हुआ, सर केवल खड़े होने के बावजूद एक लाइन का प्रस्ताव नहीं आ पाया। मसूद अजहर को हमने टेररिस्ट घोषित करवा लिया यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल से, चाइना नहीं रोक पाया। मिसाइल टेक्नोलॉजी कंट्रोल रिजीम, मैं ईमानदारी से कह रहा हूं, यह प्रोसेस डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह के जमाने में हुआ था। वी बिकेम द मेंबर, चाइना नहीं रोक पाया। शंघाई कॉर्पोरेशन के डिक्लेरेशन में टेररिज्म वाला इशू आया 3 साल पहले, वो नहीं आ पाया। अब मैं बताना चाहता हूं, आज चाइना के साथ एक सीरियस प्रॉब्लम है। नाउ दिस इज ए डिफाइनिंग मूवमेंट फॉर चाइना। सर अपने अपने टर्न पे बोलिए, आप बीच में अननेसेसरी, वैसे अब क्या कहा जाए, वैसे अरे भाई आप अपने अपने टर्न पे बोलिए। समाजवादी पार्टी की तरह वो इंडी गठबंधन वाले बोल चुके हैं आपके लिए, वो राष्ट्रीय पार्टी, उनको मौका दीजिए फॉरेन पॉलिसी के ऊपर। और अब मैं बता रहा हूं आपको, सुनिए। अरे उसी मसूद अजहर को हमने आतंकवादी घोषित करवा दिया मेरे भाई, कोशिश करके भी बचा नहीं पाया। अब मैं बताना चाहता हूं, देखिए अभी नाविका जी आपके पैनल पे कितनी मजेदार बात हुई। हमने कम्युनिस्ट को अमेरिका का साइड लेते देखा। विवेक श्रीवास्तव जी कह रहे थे देखिए अमेरिका ने यह किया है। अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा ने बहुत कैटेगोरिकल बताया, और मुझे भी याद है इनके ट्वीट 2020 में सैटेलाइट इमेजिनरी अवेलेबल थी, कांग्रेस को दिखाना चाहिए था, देखो भाई ये स्टेटस था 2018 में, 2020 में। अभिजीत अय्यर मित्रा के कुछ ट्वीट थे, आई रिमेंबर, और उस जमाने में उन्होंने बिल्कुल क्लियर किया। मगर अभी कितनी मजेदार बात हुई, अमेरिका में पन्नू ने यह कहा, कनाडा में फेलियर हो गई। झा साहब, आपकी पार्टी के, यानी जिससे आप सस्पेंडेड हैं, उस पार्टी में तो ये एलिगेशन आता था कि हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर की डेथ में सीआईए का हाथ है। क्रिस्टोफर क्रॉली की किताब है इन कन्वर्सेशन विद ए क्रो, लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी के बारे में। इंदिरा जी ने एलिगेशन लगाया था कि ललित नारायण मिश्रा, हु वाज अ रेलवे मिनिस्टर इन इंदिरा गांधी गवर्नमेंट, उनका समस्तीपुर में मर्डर हुआ था, उसमें सीआईए का हाथ है, आनंद मार्गियों के थ्रू। ये इंदिरा जी कहती थी। और इंदिरा जी की खुद की डेथ हुई, उसमें जो खालिस्तानी एलिमेंट थे वो बाहर थे। अब अगर उसके कंट्रास्ट में आज आपको लगता है कि ये फॉल्स एलिगेशन ही सही, मगर अमेरिका को, फॉरगेट अबाउट कनाडा, अमेरिका को लगता है कि अमेरिकन सॉइल पे या कैनेडियन सॉइल पे जाके इंडियन एजेंसीज किसी को एलिमिनेट कर रहे हैं, इतना बड़ा चेंज स्टेटस में नजर नहीं आता। मतलब दे कैन थिंक ऑफ, they are having a suspicion, they are having a fear that India on the American soil is capable of eliminating something. This is their allegation. Sir, this false allegation is having, though it is a very fascinating allegation. ये इल्जाम कितना हसीन है, थोड़ा तो एहतराम करिए मोदी जी ने जो स्टेटस बढ़ाया है उसका। अब मैं प्रेजेंट पे आता हूं। सर, चाइना के साथ एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। आज चाइना में सर आपको पता है कि अमेरिका ने भी उसके स्क्रू कसने शुरू कर दिया एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड इकोनॉमी में, और उनकी जो हाइब्रिड कार्स है उस पर 31% ड्यूटी यूरोपियन यूनियन ने लगाई है। अब इंडिया जैसी मार्केट के साथ जो इंडिया ने टाइट करना शुरू किया था, चाइना के लिए इट इज अ मोड ऑफ सर्वाइवल। सर, चाइना में पॉपुलेशन कम हो रही है। अब नेक्स्ट डिकेड्स में एजिंग पॉपुलेशन लीनियरली नहीं एक्सपोनेंशियली बढ़ने वाली है। और चाइना में कितनी बड़ी क्राइसिस है कि उनकी रियल एस्टेट कंपनी एवरग्रांड क्रैश कर चुकी है और 12-13 रियल एस्टेट कंपनियां डिफॉल्टर हो चुकी हैं। 26 रेलवे स्टेशन ऐसे जहां एक भी व्यक्ति नहीं जाता है, यानी वो एकदम घोस्ट सिटीज आप सब ने पढ़े होंगे। सो नाउ इट इज अ डिफाइनिंग मोमेंट ऑफ इंडिया। इट वॉज अ वॉर ऑफ नर्व्स इन विच India has shown a diplomatic dexterity under the leadership of Sri Narendra Modi ji. For the first time we have done an eye to eye and had a very respectable on equitable situation. और आज मैं फिर कह रहा हूं, इंडिया की फ्यूचर में पोजीशनिंग बेटर है। वी आर द यंगेस्ट कंट्री, दे आर बिकमिंग द ओल्डेस्ट कंट्री। अब बच्चे पैदा ही नहीं हो रहे हैं और वहां पर तो अब वो गवर्नमेंट इंसेंटिव दे रही है। 2 चाइल्ड पॉलिसी को 3 चाइल्ड कर दिया, फिर भी बच्चे नहीं हो रहे हैं। देयर इज अ सीरियस सेट ऑफ वर्ल्ड की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैक्ट्री का स्टेटस चला जाएगा। यंगर पॉपुलेशन विल नॉट बी देयर। सी द फ्यूचर। और वी हैव बिकम द ओनली कंट्री जिसमें एप्पल की फैक्ट्री आई है। चाइना से फैक्ट्री हटी है बड़ी, तो इंडिया में आई है। तो लुक एट द सिनेरियो, देन यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड बेटर।
बट इज द ऑपोजिशन only trying to look and portray as if this is not a big victory that many people say it is? I know you've been raising your hand, Sanjay Jha, so just 30 seconds. Make your counter because I'm completely out of time. 30 seconds.
Navika, 30 seconds. My friend Sudhanshu ji took such a long time, but let me expose the truth and the hypocrisy of the BJP. Muscular nationalism. We will ban TikTok. But Navika, look at the data. Look at our current trade imbalance with China. Imports from China.
When we discuss military, you want to discuss economy. When we discuss economy, you want to discuss military. And that's what I say is the filmy attack the Congress party is making. DDLJ. Come on, Sanjay Jha. You could do better than that in terms of substance of attack on Prime Minister Modi. For the moment, I think India celebrating this as a moment of checking China, getting back to the original position of 2020. But meanwhile, opposition hi rahegi. That's why it is the opposition. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.